This is Texas, where girls' high school basketball is taken very seriously. These girls in white play for the Victoria High School Stingerettes, one of the most dominating programs in the state's largest classification. They are coached by Jan Lahodny, who has led Victoria to 14 district championships, 5 state runner-up titles, and brought home the championship on 3 occasions. Twice, she has been voted Texas Association of Basketball Coaches Coach of the Year. This season, Lahodny's team presented her with her 500th win in this, her 19th year of coaching. What you are about to see is an overview of the Lahodny system of coaching that has brought such success to her programs and to the many coaches she has influenced. It is a system designed to make the most of each and every minute of practice, which always translates into a consistently competitive and contending team. Lahodny's success has not come as a result of an abundance of extraordinarily gifted athletes. In fact, as you will observe, the vast majority of the players possess only average raw athletic talent. But what makes them such outstanding competitors, winners year after year, is an extremely organized, efficient, and consistent basketball teaching program that reaches from the first day of junior high school to the last day of their senior year. It is a blueprint for success, and one that is achievable by any coach who wants to get the best effort out of each player and the best results from a team at any level of competition. Over the years, Lahodny has hosted and presented numerous teaching clinics around the United States. These forums have given her a chance to experience one of her greatest joys, the sharing of her philosophies and system with other interested coaches.
The first step to building a winning program is to have a philosophy. And in our program, we believe that there are 3 things that we have to do to win a state championship year after year. We believe that we have to have the best pressure man-for-man defense in the state. We believe that we have to have a good, controlled, fast break and run it up and down the floor every chance we get. And we also believe that we have to be able to control the boards, both offensively and defensively. Okay, the first step to implementing this philosophy is to administer a skills test. We use this skills test not only to cut our squads, but to have an objective way of evaluating each player's skills and areas of weakness. Well, let me just say, when I first started out coaching, hey, I could not wait to hit that old floor, and I walked around there like I was some kind of a god. And I said, hey, I think you can play, and let me see, you can't. And I really found myself in a very subjective system of judging who could play and who couldn't. What was to determine that? Was it supposed to be height? Was it supposed to be speed? Did they have a good attitude? Or what was it? Upon coming to Victoria High School, where all of a sudden I now had a program that was 5 times as large as the small school where I'd been coaching, I decided that I needed an objective skills test to determine who would make my teams, but also so that I could objectively evaluate each player.
The skills test is given to all potential team members, beginning on the first day of school. The test is designed to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of the players in 8 critical categories. Scores and the drills are recorded either in points or seconds by managers and fellow players. What follows is a drill-by-drill breakdown of Lahodny's skills test. Jumping reach and jumping ability begin with the player establishing her standing reach. Then each athlete is allowed 1 step to jump and touch as high on the wall as possible. Her best jump is recorded. Jumping reach subtracted from standing reach gives the player's jumping ability, how many inches she is actually coming up off the floor. A player's dribbling ability is tested by placing 5 chairs 15 feet apart. Players begin even with the first chair and must dribble and weave through the course against a stopwatch. First time through is right hand only, second time through is left hand only. Third time through, the player changes hands at each chair. The athlete receives a cumulative total for all 3, which is recorded in seconds. To demonstrate lateral agility and quickness, 3 drills were designed. In tire jumping, 1 point is scored each time both feet land inside a tire. This drill continues for 30 seconds. For bench jumping, 1 point is scored each time the athlete jumps over a bench 4 inches wide and 18 inches tall. Finally, athletes are required to shuffle across the key and put tennis balls into an empty basket. Crossing the feet is not allowed, and 1 point is scored for each ball that is successfully delivered. Arm and shoulder strength is tested in 3 batteries of tests. The athlete bench presses 50 pounds into the air. Each time her elbows are fully extended counts 1 point. The test is for 30 seconds. A player stands behind a line 3 feet 10 inches from a barrier and passes the ball against the wall for 30 seconds. 1 point is awarded each time the ball hits the wall. Standing along the baseline of a regulation-sized tennis court, each player throws a baseball pass 3 times. A ball landing the service court is 1 point. Between the service court and the baseline is 2 points. Past the baseline, 3 points, and hitting the wall or backstop is 4 points. The shooting category is determined by the sum total of 10 shooting drills plus the number of free throws made out of 10 attempts. The first drill is shooting across the lane. The player is positioned along the baseline and shoots from 3 feet outside of the key. 1 point is given per made basket. Players shoot from behind the second hash mark of the lane, alternating sides. The athlete is strongly encouraged to use the backboard. 1 point per basket. A left-handed layup is shot from under the basket without a dribble, and 1 point is earned per basket. Any attempts with the right hand are not counted. A player begins at the free throw line and shoots a right-handed layup, gets her own rebound, dribbles to the left side of the free throw line, touches it with her foot, and dribbles in for a left-handed layup, alternating sides and hands with each attempt. 1 point per basket. Players alternate shooting right-handed mic-in layups, grabbing the rebound, and shooting a left-handed mic-in layup underneath the basket. 1 point per basket. A player shoots from behind the free throw line, rebounds, and dribbles around the circle to the opposite side of the free throw line and shoots again, alternating sides with each shot. 1 point per each made basket. Players shoot for 1 minute from behind the three-point line. 1 point per basket. Players dribble full court and take a layup at each end for 1 minute and receive 1 point per basket. The player begins the drill by shooting a jump shot under the basket. She lets the ball hit the floor while she scurries to touch the free throw line. She takes the next shot from wherever she retrieves the ball, repeating the task for 1 minute. 1 point per basket. Right-handed layups are scored 1 point per basket for each basket made with the right hand. Free throws are recorded best out of 10 attempts, with 1 point awarded for each made basket. The sum total of these 11 shooting regimens gives the player an overall score for the shooting category. The next skill to be tested is ball handling with 5 ball handling techniques, which are employed for 30 seconds each. The first drill is the 2-bounce figure 8. 1 point is awarded each time the ball hits the floor between her shoes. The second drill is the figure 8 without the dribble. 1 point is awarded each time a player passes the ball between her knees. The 1-bounce figure 8 is scored by awarding 1 point each time the ball bounces between the shoes. 1 point is awarded each time both hands of the player grasp the ball. Each time the ball comes in contact with the player's hands, 1 point is given. The final category to be tested is the player's overall speed with forward and backward runs the length of the court and back. After all the prospects have completed the test, the results for each category are recorded on charts in the order of their performance. The charts are then divided into 4 quarters. Players who place in the top 1 quarter of the test receive a check plus worth 5 points toward their total performance score. Those in the second quarter receive a check worth 3 points. Players who place in the third quarter receive a check minus, which is worth 2 points in their overall score. And finally, those players in the bottom quarter of a particular category receive an X worth 0 points. The skills category totals are then transferred to a master list where each athlete receives an overall performance score expressed as a point total.
Okay, at the end of the first day's practice, we give each one of our players a discipline handout. The cover sheet gives an overview of our discipline policies. we feel that there are three essential elements to building a championship team. The first one is discipline. And in our program, we use a peer pressure type of discipline. In other words, if one person comes late to practice, the entire team has to run. The advantage of this method is that the team will eventually begin disciplining itself. The second one is unity. Losing is not acceptable in our program. Therefore, we have a rule that if the varsity team loses, we run 15 horses. If the junior varsity team loses, we run 10 horses. If the freshman team loses, we run 5 horses. Okay, now the advantage of that is that they become very interested in each other's performances. You get the varsity girls to working out with the freshman girls and encouraging them. They're on the sidelines, they're cheering them. A lot of varsity girls wouldn't even be interested in a freshman game, but in our program they are. The third point is knowledge. It's very important that every player in your program executes all the fundamental skills exactly the same way, and that everyone in the program is using the same terminology. This can best be done by mass drill instruction. I like to think of it as the glue that bonds the philosophy of the program together.
The mass drill formation consists of 6 rows. The players sit alphabetically from left to right, with seniors in the front row, followed by the juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, so that each vertical row contains a mixture of varsity and sub-varsity players. This allows the seniors to demonstrate the skills with the underclassmen mimicking the action from behind. The formation allows one coach to simultaneously give instructions to every player in the program. This is a typical Lahodny mass drill with coaching points and her commands of execution. In Texas, Jan Lahodny's name is synonymous with pressure defense. She teaches a wide and deep defensive stance, arms extended with elbows inside the knees and hands shaking to distract and harass the dribbler. The basic defensive stance is practiced in a parallel stance with knees and toes pointed outward. Whenever the ball handler picks up her dribble, the defender is to scream "dead, dead, dead" at her to alert teammates that the ball must be passed or shot. To put pressure on a dribbler the full length of the court, a heel-toe stance is used. The players retreat at 45-degree angles and employ a drop step technique to defense a change of direction. To defend a perimeter player without the ball, Lahodny teaches a cover-out stance with one arm and one leg in the passing lane. Players must look over their shoulders to see both ball and man. On a backdoor cut into the key, the defenders will open up, ready for the interception, and then assume a cover-out stance should the pass not come.
Open up, cover out, advance, retreat, advance, retreat, open up, cover out, advance, retreat. Advance, retreat, open up, cover out. Okay, very good.
Cover out and fronting techniques are used in defending post play. Footwork is the key.
Open up, cover out. Okay, very good.
Defending a player who has received the ball in the scoring area calls for hand over the ball technique. It is important to take away first that which could hurt the most, a made basket. To defend a drive so close to the basket calls for a parallel stance using the basic defensive shuffle in an attempt to draw the charge. Players must learn to attack the ball. They are to run out quickly but under control and assume the proper stance to defend in this situation.
Okay, very good.
A reverse pivot is employed to teach efficient blocking out techniques. Players are instructed to take a wide stance in going up for the rebound and to stay wide in landing to maintain balance. They are to make a Z in the air with the ball to avoid having it stolen.
A shot ball this way, reverse, rebound. Okay, a shot ball this way, reverse, rebound. Okay, a shot ball this way, reverse, rebound.
The basic offensive stance is the triple threat position. If there is pressure on the ball, it is held on the hip. If there is no pressure on the ball, it is held shoulder high. The first offensive move is the jab crossover.
Ready, position, jab, crossover. Okay, ready, position, jab, crossover. Okay.
The second offensive move is the jab rocker shot.
Okay, ready, position, jab, rocker, shot. All right, left foot down, ready, position, jab, rocker, shot. Okay, ready, position, jab, rocker, shot. Okay, very good.
The counter move to the jab rocker shot is the jab lean and go. All three moves need to be mastered for successful one-on-one play.
Action. Right foot, jab, lean, go. Okay, ready, position, jab, lean, go. Okay, left foot. Ready, position, jab, lean, go. Okay, ready, position, jab, lean, go. Okay, very good.
The shooting progression begins with the one-handed shot. It reinforces proper placement of the shooting hand and assures a one-handed release with correct follow-through.
Position, shot. Okay. Ready, position, shot. Okay. Ready, position, shot.
The next step to teaching a jump shot in mass drills is for a player to jerk the ball from the triple threat position to the shooting position. It must be a quick and forceful movement. A shooting window is created between the player's forearms, and she is to pinpoint the rim underneath the ball.
In the jump shooting position, look through your little shooting window. You have your little shooting window. You're going to be looking between your wrists, under the ball, and a make-believe rim. Okay, so I want you in ready position, and we're simply going to jerk. Okay, ready position, up. Okay, ready position, up. Okay, ready position, up. Ready position, shot. Okay, ready position, shot.
Players are taught to use a free throw ritual to reduce pressure in a critical game situation. The ritual must be performed preceding every free throw attempt, making players focus on the routine and not the pressure situation. Players are to approach the line and bounce the ball the same number of times each attempt. Take a deep breath and pinpoint the rim. Visualize having made the free throw, concentrating on the flight of the ball. Make the shot and then step off the line before repeating the ritual for the second shot. One of the most overlooked skills, because of its seeming simplicity, is that of pivoting. In Lahodny's program, she teaches to forward pivot on both feet. A key coaching tip is to have players imagine that a string is tied to the front of their shirts and pulls them forward as they forward pivot, and is tied to the back of their shirts, pulling them backward as they reverse pivot. They must use a wide base for good balance in case of opponent contact, and move the ball up and down to keep from getting it tied up or taken away. It will also allow a player to step between two defenders to deliver a pass or take a shot. The chairs facilitate teaching power post play. The players position themselves in a good post stance. Upon receiving the ball, they look over their shoulder toward the middle of the key to check the defense. If they see the defender is overplaying them to one side, they immediately take a giant power step around the defender, bounce the ball once between their knees, and square to the basket to take the shot.
Receive the ball, put it under your chin, look to the middle of the key, drop step, dribble to the shot. Okay, ready position. First step, receive the ball, put the ball under your chin, look to the middle, drop step, dribble to the shot. Okay, very good.
Once the defender has been beaten by power to the baseline and power to the middle, she will often sag into the middle of the key. This signals Lahodny's players to use a turnaround jump shot, pivoting on the foot closest to the basket. Post players are strongly encouraged to use the backboard on all post moves because of the contact that occurs underneath the basket.
Okay, post step, receive the ball, under your chin, look over your shoulder, middle's open, drop it, stop. Okay, attention. Post step, receive the ball, under your chin, look over your shoulder,
If an exceedingly tall player is defending the post and is capable of continually blocking the turnaround jumper, Lahodny teaches a reverse pivot to square the post player to the basket. Players reverse pivot on the foot farthest from the basket. She fakes a shot and then power steps under her defender for a layup.
fake out, layup. Okay, look over your shoulder, reverse, fake out, layup.
Dribbling is a skill that requires hours upon hours of practice, and players must be encouraged to practice on their own. The first step to teaching effective dribbling techniques is to have the players sitting down. This allows them to concentrate on fingertip control and the pumping action of the arm. The most skilled dribblers keep the ball on their hip for maximum ball protection. To keep her players from looking at the ball, Lahodny requires them to mimic her hand movements. If anyone in a line fails to mirror the gesture, the entire line runs at the end of the drill. Lahodny uses a wide variety of ball handling techniques in mass drill to further enhance dribbling prowess.
Okay, figure eight, no dribble.
The final phase of a mass drill consists of having players dribble through chairs, practicing the various dribbling techniques, such as changing hands, half reverse right hand only, half reverse left hand only, full reverse with one hand dribble pull, double exchange right side only, double exchange left side only, crab dribble, stutter step, and also the behind the back dribble. Again, the only way for a player to become a truly effective ball handler is to practice dribbling on her own. It takes at least one full 45-minute practice session to implement the mass drill. However, once the instructions as to how the fundamentals are to be executed and commands are established, a daily review of the entire mass drill takes only 10 to 12 minutes. Lahodny continues mass drills at the beginning of practice for the first 3 weeks of school.
I think you'll agree with me that there are a lot of coaches out there that have a great knowledge of the game. And they've got all this great knowledge of X's and O's in their head. But just to have that knowledge up there doesn't assure a coach that they will be able to build a successful program. And the purpose of this video, as it is this clinic today, is to give you a systematic approach to coaching. In other words, to get that knowledge from out of your head into actual drills on the floor so that your players can execute your philosophy successfully. And it took me a long time to realize that just knowing the game wasn't going to get the job done. And I used to say, okay, man, we'd get ready to play a game, and all of a sudden in that first ball game we couldn't block out. So the next time we practiced, I would spend maybe an entire practice session working on nothing but blocking out. We'd play the next game, my goodness, my fast break had gone to pot. Okay, so I started realizing that the best way to implement your philosophy is to practice on every phase of the game, just a short period of time on a day-by-day basis. And that is how I came into this system of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday defensive workout and a Tuesday, Thursday offensive workout.
Defensive and offensive workouts are 45 minutes in length and make use of the in-school noon athletic period during the preseason and continue throughout the playing season itself. Game preparation workouts are 2 hours long and are implemented for the playing season as after-school workouts. Experience has taught Lahodny that deviation from these practice routines has produced less than desirable results. Each Monday, Wednesday, Friday defensive workout and Tuesday, Thursday offensive workout during the in-school athletic period begins with a 7-minute form shooting drill. The managers put 7 minutes on the clock, and each shooting drill is 1 minute long. The clock runs continually, but the managers blow the horn at the end of each minute to signal the start of a new drill.
Okay, what you're seeing now is called our one-handed shoot. And you'll notice that we have a player positioned in front of the shooters with their arms extended. And the reason for this is so that the shooter gets used to pinpointing the rim, looking over outstretched hands. It also helps us to start teaching our blocking out form. As you'll see that the girl, as soon as the ball is shot, will turn around and assume a blocking out stance. The reason we use the one-handed shoot is so that they can work on their follow-through, and I think that the one-handed shoot is the best drill to teach that aspect of the game. We have them take that hand completely off the ball and look under the ball as they shoot and just be able to concentrate on that backspin and on breaking their wrist and just work on the follow-through. Okay, now you're going to be seeing us work on our jab rocker move. That's the 2nd minute of the drill. And we ask our players to assume what's called a triple threat position and then jab with that foot closest to the baseline and then take the ball straight up. Now, the reason we're jabbing with that foot closest to the baseline is that preferably we would like to drive to the middle of the key, so we always fake to the baseline. Make sure that you tell your players to fake at the basket with the foot closest to the baseline and not fake like they're going out of bounds, because that's very unrealistic, and who's going to respond to that? This drill here, we jab again with that foot closest to the baseline. We learn to bring that ball over our head so that the defender can't get it. Bounce it once between our legs, protecting the ball, and square to the basket and put the shot up. See, these drills are designed to also implement or incorporate our offensive moves. They're not to be blocking the shot, they're just playing dummy defense. Okay, we're teaching 2 things here, okay? We're teaching our wing players to float towards the basket as the guard approaches them. They're giving a target with their hand, they're floating to the baseline, and as the ball is being passed, they're taking a giant step or a large step towards that basket. And the reason we teach our players to do that is that when they put their feet together, they'll automatically be squared to the basket. Okay, I'm going to tell you how I came across this. There's a boy that played for Victoria High School by the name of Hanky Porter, who was just a tremendous shooter. And I started noticing that he was taking this gigantic step to the basket every time he was going to receive the ball. And I started picking up in articles and in some of my readings that, you know, that is actually a technique that can be taught. In fact, some people call it drag-a-foot. And it actually puts the player 3 feet closer to the basket. Okay, this is our power to the baseline move, and it's one of the post moves that we teach. You're going to see that girl drop step with the foot closest to the basket and put that ball on the floor right between her knees with one quick dribble. You'll also notice that we teach our players that when they receive the ball, they are to put the ball under their chin with their elbows out, take a quick look to the middle of the key, and that way, before they make that power move to the basket. Now, it's our philosophy that we look to the middle of the key because where we're actually wanting to go is to the baseline. So we use that technique to look off the defense. But also, if we have to go to the middle of the key, there's going to be so much traffic there that the offensive player needs to be looking there for a long period of time, because she's either going to have to pull the ball under the defender with the dribble, or she's going to have to pull that ball over the defender if she's got her hands up high. The last 30 seconds of that drill is going to be without the dribble. And in order to do that and keep from traveling is that they have to take that step as the ball is coming to them. Okay, now this time we're pretending that the defense is taking away the baseline and we're having to go to the middle. So once again, we're taking that giant step across the middle of the key, putting the ball on the floor right between our knees with one dribble, and then quickly squaring to the basket. Okay, now without the dribble. Now I can't emphasize to you enough that you've got to tell those underclassmen, those young kids, that they have got to be stepping with that foot as the ball is in the air, because even like on that giant step to the basket drill, our freshmen will receive the ball and then take the giant step and have traveled. Right. So, you know, it seems easy when you watch this level of athlete performance, but I guarantee you're going to see your freshmen do a lot of traveling with it. Okay, here we're making believe that the defense has sagged on us. We've already beaten them once to the baseline, we've beaten them once to the middle, so now they've decided to just sag off on us. So when we see a defender sagging off on us, we do what we call our turnaround jumper. And you'll notice we're pivoting on that foot closest to the baseline. And we're going to use the board. That's the two key things to that particular shot, is give a fake up the key, keep those elbows out, then turn around on that foot closest to the baseline and use that board, because there probably will be contact. Okay, now we use that turnaround jumper for 30 seconds. And then we go to what I call a fake reverse. Okay, we're going to fake reverse, gang. Fake reverse. We're going to have her pivot backwards or use a reverse fake on that foot closest to the free throw line. And we're going to pretend like that there's a string tied to the back of their shirt and it pulls them backwards. So that's the key to teaching a reverse pivot. Okay, now as they receive the ball, they're going to do that reverse fake, square to the basket, fake up the shot, and as the defender's going to reach up to block the jump shot, which they'll have to because they're in such close shooting range, we're going to step under them and lay it up. It's not an orthodox post move, but I'm real sold on the idea that you have to have a variety of moves. We pivot on both feet, even on the high post. If there's so much pressure that we can't pivot in the direction we want to, you always have room to reverse pivot. So we teach that.
Coaches may wonder what will keep a team from getting bored doing the same drills year in, year out. The answer is competition. Drills are done in competition, with the losers having to run while the winners practice at under-the-basket shooting drill. A variety of running or exercise regimens can be employed to diversify the consequences. This concept hones the competitive spirit in players long before they must be tested in a game situation, and drives home the message loud and clear that losing is not fun. Being organized is the key to handling a large group of players efficiently and maximizing every minute of workout time.
Okay, I'm going to show y'all how to organize your workout so that you don't have to spend time writing out a workout every day. How we have our teams already divided into groups, how our kids will just come into practice, look at their assignment for the day, rush off to get dressed, and when they come on the floor, bam, we're ready to go. Okay, now group one here, I have group one, and this usually consists of varsity and JV players. And I have them divided into posts. This will be the taller people, and these will be our guards and our forwards. Okay, this is group two, and this usually consists of like the JV people, and some of the better freshmen will move into this group. And group three, these are our freshmen, and we also have them divided into posts and into guards. Now, for instance, if my name was Conaway, I'm going to walk up here and I'm going to say, okay, Conaway, I'm number 4 today. Today is Monday. I look down here on the chart. Number 4 is going to play number 3. I have a blue dot by my name, so I know that I'm going to put on a blue or a gold practice vest, and I'm going to play Silva. So now I rush off and get dressed. Okay, so I already have my people organized in groups and in the practice penny for the workout. Now, I got this idea from what we call our killer drill. We have a drill that ends every Monday, Wednesday, Friday defensive workout, and it's just a one-on-one drill under the basket. And you have to have people about the same height and same body build for it to be most effective. So I created what was called a ladder tournament. And so Conaway will play against Silva at the end of the workout. But what I started seeing was that automatically things fell into place, and I was having a good grouping of our athletes. Because of the tournament, I had the same number of tall players in blue, I had the same number of red players in blue, and so I started using it as the way to organize my practice time, and I actually fell upon it by accident.
Since most drills are designed to be competitive, Lahodny employs managers strategically positioned to keep track of the winners and losers. Once again, being organized is the key.
The managers are seated here. So we have the manager seated on this side, keep the score of these 3 baskets. The manager seated on this side will keep the score of these 3 baskets. Now we'll have group 1 shooting these 2 baskets, group 2 playing on these 2 baskets, and group 3 playing on these side baskets. Blue will shoot at these 3 baskets, red will shoot at these 3 baskets, and the manager sitting here, every time a basket is scored on one of these 3 baskets will merely put down 1 point. The manager on this side will merely put down 1 point. So this helps in keeping the number of managers that you're using in the program down to a minimum.
Each Monday, Wednesday, Friday defensive workout begins with the 7-minute form shooting drill. The first defensive drill is one-on-one from the free throw line. The managers put 4 minutes on the clock and the drill begins. Not only do the losing teams have to run at the end of each drill, but as the drill is actually going on, the players are immediately punished for getting beaten. For instance, if a player on offense scores, the defender has to crab walk to mid-court. Of course, if the offensive player fails to score, she has to crab walk or do whatever is the prescribed consequence. At the end of each drill, the losing side has to run against a 1-minute clock, while the winners play 100 under the basket. If the teams are tied, everyone runs. The consequences have a side benefit of helping players get into top condition. The remainder of the defensive workout is also done in competition. Hawking the ball teaches players how to pressure the dribbler. The tiger drill is used for players to practice denying the pass to the perimeter player. Defending the double post teaches players to work on backside help and rotation. Blocking out is a critical drill, not only for defensive play, but as the first step in initiating the fast break. Two-on-one and three-on-two are Lahodny's favorite fast break defensive drills. And finally, the killer drill signals the end of the grueling 45-minute defensive workout. Winners in the killer drill get to move their names up on the board, provided they were in a lower position. The winners put a mark by their name and get to go in. Players ranked higher than their opponents stay in the same position, but get a tally mark. Losers and those who tie must stay on the floor and run.
Frequently, I'm accused of being a coach that dishes out punishments unmercifully. I'm asked, aren't there any rewards in this system? Well, yes, there are. For example, our warm-up outfit. We have 2 red arcs on them, one for their nameplate and one for their stars, which we award for meeting certain criteria. In other words, if you win 5 killer drill tournaments, you get one of these stars. Or if you come up with 5 steals in a ball game, every player on the team will get one of these stars. We also have a Player of the Week shirt that we award to one player each week, one to each JV player, one to each varsity player, and one to each freshman player that they get to wear in practice for that week.
Although doing drills and competition will get players to put forth good effort to keep from having to run or crab walk or whatever the consequence of losing might be, it will not necessarily motivate players to practice the correct techniques. The answer to the problems is a system Lahodny has adapted called earning your uniform.
We have a hawk and the ball drill that we do every Monday, Wednesday, Friday defensive workout. And if they don't execute that skill properly, they will never get their game hose. And of course, they'll stick out like a sore thumb because they're going to be out there bare-legged. So you'd be surprised how each player in the program will work feverishly to earn each piece of their uniform. The rules say the only thing that you've got to wear is a shirt, a numbered shirt. So of course, to get that numbered shirt, we have the 3 easiest skills, and that's the 3 post moves. And a lot of times we play those first games with our players only having a game shirt, and they're wearing their own shorts. But of course, girls are very vain, and they usually come in their own red shorts that match very closely the game top. An indispensable tool in our program is the mass drill chart. I've made a checklist of criteria that has to be met before you can get a certain piece of equipment. On the mass drill chart, we chart what a player is actually doing in the drill. For instance, if they're reaching, they will find an R in their block. If their feet are coming together, we put an FT for feet together in their particular chart. If they're doing the drill correctly, then they get a check, and the ones that are doing it really well get a check plus, which means that they have earned that particular piece of uniform. Okay, just because a player earns a piece of uniform doesn't mean that she gets to keep it, that it's hers permanently. And in fact, I've been known to be so upset at the halftime of ball games that I've made my players take off their leg hose because they hadn't stopped the penetration by the dribbler. So just because you've earned it once doesn't mean that it can't be taken away from you.
While the athletes strive at the beginning of the year to earn and keep their uniforms, the tempo in the gym changes drastically on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the offensive in-school workout days. The pace is not as hurried as players shell drill the 6 basic offensive concepts which coordinate player movement in all of Lahodny's offensive patterns.
This is just one offense that we use. You know, we use about 20 different sets, and they're all tied together by the 6 basic offensive concepts that I'm fixing to show you. But what I wanted to do was show this one in particular because it will contain all of the offensive concepts, and I'll show you how they develop in this offense. It's a motion offense. It's designed for teams with the short players where we're having to capitalize on speed, quickness, cutting action, screening action, that type of thing. Okay, now the first concept that we're teaching is called high-low action. Notice how I'll have my guards dribble over to the side and then switch hands to where they actually are facing the basket. So our post players are going to hold their position till that point guard actually looks at them. And all that we are teaching here is the rule that when the high post gets the ball, the low post cuts. It wouldn't matter to me if we're running a triple post, a 1-4, guard cut, the weave, or whatever, but every time our high post player gets the ball, the low post is going to cut. And we have to teach this in 3-on-3, what we call shell drills, drills without the defense, to get our timing down. As we're teaching these shell drills, and as we move into our 5-on-5 game scheme, we're trying to always send 3 players to those 3 spots right under the basket So we will have a triangle under that basket. Then we send one kid over to the free throw line, and we call her the floater. And she's there to get the long rebound, or if our post players can't get possession of the rebound, they're instructed to tip it out, keep the ball alive. She is to come up with all loose balls. And we send one of our players back for floor balls. In our philosophy, we don't care who gets what spot. It's just that when the ball is shot, we have to have 5 players in those positions. It takes on the appearance of high-low action. But as you'll notice, we always send our point guard or a wing player to the opposite side of the free throw line, of the high post player. Okay, and she'll look first for the low post cutting, but if that option is not available, she'll pass it to the opposite side of the free throw line for the concept that we call pass opposite. In other words, when this happens in a game, if that girl is coming open and our high post player is not seeing her, all I have to do is stand up and scream, "Hey, pass opposite is open," and they'll know. I could go down to the junior high and scream pass opposite is open, and they would know. So it's real important that you get your terminology and your concepts, you know, going all the way from the 7th grade all the way through the varsity program. The rule that we're establishing here in this drill is that when the low post gets the ball, the high post will go to the bottom of that dotted line. Some people call it the bottom of the broken cup. But anyway, that offensive movement seems to be there time after time after time. You'll normally have a wing player in your offensive set that's going to take that weak side rebound spot. So all you need to do is send that high post to that dotted line. And you're going to see a lot of good offensive things happen. You will beat that defender because they're trying to take that high post away from you. A lot of movement just confuses the defense. So I like to put a lot, boy, if you've got those little players, if you can put a lot of cutting and crossing action in there, that defense will go to pieces. Okay, according to our rules, if the wing player drives baseline, we step up and in. If they drive middle, we step down and out. And so that way, we always know where our post player is. Okay, I'm just going to tell you from my own experience, when I was a point guard, and I would drive into the key, and some post player was in there, just standing, and here I had these big giants trying to guard me, and I needed to get rid of the ball. Here I'm trying to look under their legs and everything else, trying to see where in the world did they go. So this, our people know, they'll just throw the ball to a spot. Okay, that's just good offensive movement. That will get your player open. Okay, when the high post gets the ball, low post cuts. The high post will cut diagonal and the low post will loop. And you have to practice that in drill. You got to get that timing down. Now, it doesn't matter which high post gets the ball, the same cutting action takes place. It takes a while for it to develop. You know, we send that low post through and then that diagonal cutter. Okay, so your triple post cutting action can come open at any time during the offense. Anytime that high post man gets the ball, look for it. We do this against zone and man. We do it every time a high post player gets the ball. We always look for that high-low action first, but if it's not there, buddy, our second option is to loop. Okay, now what we're doing here is guard, cut, and turn the floor. Okay, in this drill, we're teaching several things. We're teaching those perimeter players how to stay equal distance apart out there on the perimeter. Look, we're teaching that giant step to the basket. We're teaching them how to cut and give a target hand, how to turn the floor completely. I think that's one of the key coaching points, is to tell those players to eye that rim, because too many guards give it away that they're not a scoring threat because they'll never even look at the basket and blow the whole 5-on-5 set. My shooter many times will become the player that has to take that rebound spot on the free throw line. And I'll tell them to stay with their shot. I can't stand to see a girl shoot the ball and then run to get the rebound. My gosh, they need to stay with that shot, so we may not get that rebound spot as quickly as we might otherwise. I was always taught to shoot and go get the rebound. Well, my goodness, you end up just blapping the ball up there and busting yourself, and what you ended up doing was making more of your second shots than your first shots.
Lahodny believes one of the greatest fallacies in coaching is that success can be determined by the offensive patterns that a team is using. But it is not the pattern or the set that makes an offense work. It is the coordination of player movement within the pattern that is the secret. These 6 drills teach players how to react in a predictable manner, dependent upon where the ball is. Regardless of the offensive pattern used, if a coach will use these 6 offensive shell drills to teach predictable, coordinated, and systematic player movement, coaches will suddenly find their favorite offenses producing an abundance of scoring opportunities. The remainder of the Tuesday-Thursday offensive workout employs 2-on-2 and 3-on-3 player drills, which teach proper cutting, screening, penetrating, posting, feeding, and reading offensive techniques. The final drill of the in-school offensive workout is 3-on-3 and 4-on-3 early offense fast break drills that employ the 6 basic concepts, adding to the effectiveness of Lahodny's running game. The game preparation after-school workout is designed to prepare the team for everything it might encounter in an actual game situation. Lahodny starts off the workout with one of 2 warm-up drills. Layups and variations of layups, such as the power layup, the power slide, the layback, the fake-up, and crossover, teach a variety of layup techniques and give the fast break game added offensive punch. The other warm-up drill is a series of set plays out of a 1-4 stack set. Since they rely on the element of surprise, the plays are practiced without any defense at the beginning of the after-school workouts. They are designed to use crossing and screening tactics to create mismatch situations against man-for-man defenses. The next phase of the workout is a series of shell drills to be used in specialty situations, such as the jump center play, front court sideline play, back court sideline play, under the basket play, 4-second play, cross blocking out play, and a preserving the lead play. Experience has shown Lahodny that having her team prepared for the special situations which will arise in a game has made the difference in winning those one-point games. She also uses a sideline fast break on a made or missed free throw. It is practiced in shell with a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 finish. The next phase of the workout is the press breaker drills. After practicing the press breaking patterns in shell, she adds a defensive team. Here you see Lahodny's team going against the freshman boys team with some frustration. Lahodny turned the liability of having to share limited gym time and space into an asset. She has found that varsity-level girls can compete with freshman boys. The boys in general will be a little taller, a little stronger, and much quicker than most varsity girls' teams. This added resistance has greatly improved her team's performance. Following the press breaker work against a full court, free throws are practiced for 2 minutes. The player making the most free throws in a row during the after-school practice session will not have to run the final horses of the day. It should be noted that while half the team shoots free throws for 1 minute, the other half of the team gets a water break. At the end of 1 minute, they trade out. Thus, even Lahodny's water breaks are timed to make the most efficient use of practice time. The next 10 minutes of practice is devoted to breaking a 3/4 court or half-court press. She uses a stack set in initiating the attack to force the defense to have to concentrate on covering the middle of the floor. Therefore, they cannot spread out to cover the entire floor as most 75 or 50 presses like to do. Once again, this is practiced in shell before adding the defense. Following the press breaker work, the next 15 minutes of every after-school workout is devoted to overtime situations and the delay game. Lahodny feels this is one of the most critical areas of the game, as it requires not only skilled execution, but mental acumen. She believes most coaches leave this area of the game as one of the last things to work out, only to find that their players are underconfident and unnerved in those types of tight game situations. It is Lahodny's philosophy that confidence comes through practice, and it is up to the coach to be systematic and organized enough to provide the time to practice all areas of the game daily. The remainder of the workout is devoted to 5-on-5 offensive play. Although she uses a system of multiple offensive sets, many of which can be used against both man-to-man and zone defenses, she practices these patterns against every kind of defense she could expect to see in a game, such as matchup, odd front zones, even front zones, and trapping zones. She also recommends preparing teams daily to play against those specialty defenses, such as the box and one, the diamond and one, and the triangle and two. Lahodny has found that those so-called junk defenses can wreak havoc against a team that is not preparing daily to attack them.
What do you do with that girl that is injured? Well, nowadays we have these extensive rehab programs they go through, but those will take a matter of maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. But what about that kid that maybe is too severely injured, has just come off of a knee injury, a severe knee injury, or is awaiting knee surgery, who cannot actually go into an active rehab program? She often becomes the most forgotten player in the gym. And it really broke my heart when this pet of mine all of a sudden became that injured player, and day after day I'd see her sitting on the stage, and as the practice grew longer and the days were growing longer that she was not getting to be on the floor, her face grew sadder, and all of a sudden I realized that there was something that I as a coach could do to possibly help this player endure this period of injury and perhaps even improve her skills. So I devised what is called the injured player workout.
A typical injured player workout begins with push-ups to develop arm and shoulder strength. Marshmallows under players' hands keep them on their fingertips. Having injured players work out in competition makes them exert maximum effort and reduces boredom. Bent leg sit-ups with a weight develop abdominal strength. Indian leg wrestling is a fun activity to increase strength and quickness. Straight arm lifts help players develop arm and shoulder strength. Lahodny uses arm wrestling for players to test their strengths in competition. A kneeling tug-of-war also tests upper body strength. Box knee bends allow a player nursing one injured leg to develop powerful leg strength in the uninjured leg. Scooter boards give the injured player the mobility for relay races without stressing the healing injury. Mat basketball is a good get-tough drill for players who are well on the road to recovery. For the more severely injured athlete, the injured player routine begins with stretching and strength exercises done without resistance or competition. The exercises are designed to enhance basketball skills. Shooting a basketball while lying flat on her back allows a player to focus on hand position, release, and follow-through. Dribbling in a chair while squeezing a tennis ball increases forearm strength as well as enhancing dribbling technique. Players cannot spend too much time doing this drill. Medicine ball passing increases arm and shoulder strength, helping players to put zip into their passes with a regulation basketball. It also helps them focus on catching the ball, developing good hands, often an overlooked basic skill. Shooting a ball sitting down allows the injured athlete to concentrate on keeping her elbow in and secure at a 90-degree angle before releasing the ball. This is a key step to developing successful shooting form. Wall volleying is an all-purpose drill which develops eye-to-hand coordination, catching skills, follow-through, and accuracy. Another key element to Jan Lahodny's success can be attributed to her ability to adapt and innovate. She views coaching as a continual problem-solving process and consequently is always pursuing unique ideas to strengthen her communication and coaching skills.
How many of you have had to deal with the problem of pulling a player out of the game? They come up to you on the bench and they go, "Hey coach, why'd you pull me out of the game?" Well, my coaching staff and I devised a system of ticketing our players. In other words, we took just one of these regular old receipt books, and during the course of the game, I would tell my assistant coach, write this down. For House, she needs to say, "I'm strong, I will block out every time." So when House was pulled out of the game, she came to the bench, we gave her the ticket, we made her sit down by her teammate, and she would say, "I am strong, I will block out every time. I am strong, I will block out every time." She had to say that positive affirmation 10 times before she could go back in the course of the game. It's a really neat idea because they know immediately without having to talk to you as to why they were pulled for the game. Plus, if you'll keep the receipts, you have a running documentary of the mistakes you've made in the game.
Being a wife and mother has challenged Lahodny to become even more creative and organized in order to maintain the healthy balance between a career and family life. She enthusiastically endorses and encourages activity in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and other spiritually oriented support groups. Basketball can become all-consuming and spiritual. Intellectual and social development must be emphasized.
I once read in a book that the truly happy person develops all sides of their person, or in other words, tries to become a square, as is drawn here. You want to develop your physical side at the same rate that you're developing your religious side. You want to develop your social side at the same time you're developing your mental side. In other words, you want to become what is called the perfect square. We encourage all of our players to develop all sides of their person at the same rate. Don't just concentrate on the physical. Concentrate on your mental growth, on your social growth, and your religious growth at the same rate of speed, and you'll be a much happier person.
The video you have just seen is an introduction into the mind and methods of Jan Lahodny. Even more detailed information is available in her book, Competitive Drills for Winning Basketball, and her booklets, Offensive Sets That Win State Championships. These books and information about future videos are available from the address you see on the screen. The sharing of her systems, knowledge, and love of the game of women's basketball is one of Lahodny's major lifetime goals.
I hope the systematic approach that we've presented to you will help stimulate your mind so that you too dare to be different, so that one day you may win those district championships, regional championships, or maybe even a state championship title. The first step in implementing this philosophy is, man, I got screwed up, I started thinking. Okay. I'm going, hey, I'm already going on to, my mind goes too fast. At the end of the first day's workout, we give each one of our players one of these discipline handouts. On the cover sheet, we have, Dennis, you started staring at me. Okay. He was acting real interested, and then I started laughing. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm not. The first one is discipline. And in our program, we use a peer pressure type of discipline. In other words, if one person comes late to practice, the entire team has to run. What is the advantage of it? Oh, it was that they begin to discipline each other. Okay. Hey, see, I wrote the script, and now I can't remember. Okay, that's going to be tough for me to do. I mean, I'll have to reread it every time.
All right, let's go to unity.
Okay, unity. Okay, let me see what I've got on that. Our program. The second one is unity. Losing is not acceptable in our program, and therefore we have a rule that whenever the varsity team loses, we have to run 15 horses, just when I had it going good. Okay, okay.
It's a game preparation.
Okay, let me just start there. The after-school workout is designed what? Is to design, see, I'm getting so blanked. Okay. In this particular system, we encourage each player to earn their uniform one piece at a time. Hi. What's going on? Who y'all looking for? It's the superintendent. And so I started using it as the way to organize my practice time, and I actually fell upon it by accident. But that's the way we've been doing it from now on.